Congressman Adam Schiff is a Democrat of California. He serves on the committee investigating January 6th, served as the lead House manager for Donald Trump's first impeachment, and he joins me now. And Congressman Schiff, let's talk about Rudy Giuliani, who was a central figure in both of these, in both plots that resulted in both impeachments. Why do you think it's important the committee sit down and talk to him here?
Well, I think, as you can see by the series of subpoenas that we've issued over time, they're going to hire and hire people in and around the administration. And Rudy Giuliani was really at the center of things. He was one of the most aggressive promoters of that big lie about the election. He was involved in trying to get these state legislators to send alternate slates of electors or to delay sending slates of electors. And to me, the most shocking claims are some of those that you just repeated, Chris, and that is they were involved in urging the president reportedly to seize voting machines. That's the kind of thing you see in the developing world. You don't see it, at least until now, in the United States of America. So there's a lot he could tell our committee, certainly a lot we've uncovered already. But I think he's a pretty central figure in all of this.
Should we interpret the issuance of subpoenas to mean that invitations for voluntary cooperation were rebuffed?
That's not always the case. Generally, we do seek voluntary cooperation to begin with. Where we know certain parties are very likely to be hostile, we don't waste time spending weeks trying to get their voluntary cooperation. And we have gone straight to subpoenas in some circumstances. You're also right about one of the points you're making earlier, which is our inquiry is broader than just what happened on a single day. It's all of the multiple lines of effort to overturn the election that ended culminating in that attack on the Capitol. But it's important to understand January 6th, to understand the context of all these other failed efforts to overturn the election. And then the last resort, which we saw on the 6th, was violence.
Yeah, and I didn't know, it's hard to keep track of what information we have is public and not, because obviously there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things building up to that. But this jumped out at me in the Boris Epshteyn letter. You are reported to have participated in a call with former President Trump on the morning of January 6th, during which options were discussed to delay the certification of election results in light of Vice President Pence's unwillingness to deny or delay certification. I don't know if you track what's public and what's not, but what do we know about that phone call?
I try to track what's public and what's not, and as you might imagine, have to err on the safe side in terms of the committee. But obviously, we would like to know anything that went on during that call. What other options at that very late stage were being contemplated to try to still overturn the election? So he's obviously, if he was on that call, would have a lot to tell us. If he was part of that war room at the Willard Hotel, he'd have a lot to tell us. And we hope that he will answer the subpoena. And if not, as with the others, we'll have to figure out what the recourse is.
There's a number of documents that you've been seeking from a variety of sources I just want to go through. So one thing just to note here is that Bernie Kerik did come in, talk to the committee, provided a batch of documents to the select committee. And I raise that only to note that obviously the people that don't comply, like Steve Bannon, most, I think, infamously, and Mark Meadows, are news items and newsworthy for obvious reasons. But the vast majority of people that you've wanted to talk to, you have talked to, including some people like Bernie Kerik that one might suppose wouldn't talk to you in so much as he is an ally or a loyalist to former President Trump.
Well, that's right. Mr. Kerik worked very closely with Rudy Giuliani. This is all matter of public record. And a great many people are cooperating with us. We would hope that everyone would, but certainly a great many, now I think over 400, have cooperated with us. But you can, getting back to a point I was making earlier, as we get to more and more significant witnesses, they are often closer and closer to Donald Trump, and therefore people that the former president is urging and has some leverage over in terms of getting them to refuse to cooperate. But we are, as you say, getting a lot of help, and sometimes even less publicly known witnesses can offer some of the most important insights, but I can't be more particular than that.
Yeah, we should note, I don't know if we have the B-roll of the infamous four-season landscaping press conference with Rudy Giuliani, but Bernie Kerik is in that shot. He's standing behind Rudy Giuliani there. So, as you said, a matter of public record. There's also some news breaking just recently that the National Archives, which is in possession of, has custody over a tranche of documents the committee is seeking related to the ex-president while he was in office, intends to turn some of those over tomorrow at 6 p.m., according to a DOJ letter. The docs were not covered by the D.C. Circuit's administrative stay, and SCOTUS Supreme Court hasn't acted on Trump's emergency request yet. So do you anticipate those actually being transmitted to you?
I certainly hope so. We'll have to see what happens between now and then, but I would certainly hope so. I would hope that the Supreme Court will very quickly resolve the litigation regarding the archives and refuse to take up the case from below. Both the legislative branch and the executive branch are in agreement that the record should be provided, and it would be antithetical to a conservative court to disagree with those two branches of government. I think the only reason they would do so is if they have now become nothing more than a partisan court.
I couldn't help but notice how expeditiously this court moved to have full briefing, oral arguments, and a full decision striking down the proposed testing or vaccine mandate that the Biden administration proposed. It just was notable to me that when motivated, they appear to have the ability to move quite quickly. I wonder if you noted that as well.
Yes, without a doubt. And you've seen, the other courts, the District and Court of Appeals, move with great alacrity in our particular case. And there's no reason the Supreme Court can also, particularly when the law, I think, is so clear and would clearly militate in favor of not taking up the case. So I will hope that they will move with swiftness.
Finally, there is another subpoena that we've found out about, which is phone records. Again, there are sort of third-party subpoenas that we found out about through press reports to tech companies that may be in possession of records. In this case, Eric Trump and Kimberly Guilfoyle's phone records that have been subpoenaed by the January 6th committee. Eric Trump calling it in a statement a witch hunt in a one-sentence statement. Can you confirm that those subpoenas have happened?
I can't confirm any particular subpoenas, but I can say that we've acknowledged that early on, we sent preservation letters to these telecommunication companies. We have followed up with subpoenas to request records in certain cases. These records, I should emphasize, they're not the content of conversations. They're who was the party to the conversations, the dates, the duration. But that can be very important evidence and lead to additional witnesses. It can corroborate the testimony of witnesses. It can tell us who was in communication with whom while the attack on January 6th was going on. So they can be very important, but in this case, I can only talk generally and can't confirm with respect to those two particular people.
Finally, and I know that you're one member of a committee with multiple members, and I don't know how the communications work here, but I just wonder if you have any indication so far from any of the subjects to these four subpoenas that were issued today about what they intend to do.
I don't have any indication yet. I think we can anticipate certain things that they're likely to say. I think Rudy Giuliani's attorney has made some public comments about him claiming attorney-client privilege or executive privilege. There are clearly lots of activities that he was a witness to and a participant to that do not implicate attorney-client privilege or where that privilege would be waived. It's very unlikely that executive privilege would apply at all. And so, much as with other witnesses, when we, for example, subpoenaed Hannity, we made it very clear we weren't interested in his journalistic work on Fox, if that's what you call that. There are plenty of facts that Mr. Giuliani and others, attorneys or otherwise, can testify to that are not privileged. And we want to make sure that the committee has all the facts that we can present to the American people.